All right, and with that, it looks like I got my casters back with me. Joshi and Rafa, welcome back as we're preparing for the final series of the day. Awesome hearing Gamsu. I can't believe that he doesn't actually know how to cook duck bulgogi. I mean, on the survey, I'm looking at it, he says he likes to cook, and that's his favorite meal. It's not
Hmm.
adding up to me.
Maybe he's just trying to hide it. It is an important secret
Uh,
that.
True.
Dude, I mean, there are like some dishes that like people who know how to cook don't know how to cook yet, right? They haven't had a chance to
Okay.
prepare it. So
Choco
it's something
agrees.
that he'll have to learn in the future.
As the one caster on the desk who actually does a lot of cooking and makes content around it, I'll have to defer to Rafa on that one. But with that said, the next match is around the corner. But before we get into it, we got to bring up our Samsung SSD Fast 5 to catch up on some of the stats that have been going around throughout the spring split here in Academy, because we've actually had some motion. I feel like it's been a pretty static graphic for the last couple of weeks, but not anymore as we do dive into it, because after one of the matches yesterday, I'm looking at a specific fastest to 10K gold that
Oh,
might not get toppled anytime soon.
yeah. When you start off the game with 4 kills before walking the lane, you're gonna have a good time, and that's exactly what Stixay did, right? Getting a quadra kill before the game really even started in the top half of the map. And once you have that much gold, you're already basically halfway there. So the only question is going to be, is anybody going to try and beat Cowrie? Because I don't think anybody's going to be beating Stixay anytime soon.
And the other thing too is that this was officially, as it was announced on Twitter, Stixay's last professional game in Academy.
Oh.
He is now officially moving back to positional coach. Violet will be playing for Golden Guardians Academy all of Super League starting next week.
Yeah, that's big news because, of course, that's the final week for Golden Guardians as they're still holding on to that first place spot, considering CLG just split their series 1-1. Golden Guardians in sole possession of that right now. But, of course, another cool name on there, Hyper, getting up there in the top 3 for fastest to level 6. So cool to see DSM Academy's jungler bringing things together.
Without XU.
Huh?
Yeah.
Beat out XU, yes, exactly. But of course, next up we have FlyQuest Academy versus Dignitas QNTMPAY Academy, and this will round out Week 7 before the Super Week. There'll only be 3 more matches for every team, so let's talk about this head-to-head here. First up on the docket, FlyQuest Academy. Now, this is tough because usually I'll give this one to Rafa because I never have Joshi on the desk with me. But Joshi, I know that you're our signature FlyQuest guy, so this time I actually get to give it to you as opposed to Rafa.
You got
Thank
it.
you.
FlyQuest.
Well, FlyQuest has been having a bit of a resurgence recently, right? They were one of our teams that was struggling in the first half of the split, but now that they are going to be coming back, it's been a big glow up, in particular from the player Yuji, right? After he started realizing he was allowed to play Assassins in Academy, he's had a fantastic time, as we've been seeing a lot of things like the Kiana really just allow him to pop off and carry some games.
And the Assassin picks have been coming out. We still have yet to see the Zed, right, Rafa? I believe that bingo card has not been filled in yet.
I'm hoping.
Manifesting.
I'm still flying up the Zed signal, although they are going up against Dignitas, and it's kind of a 50-50 where I'm like, man, I want FlyQuest to do well and pull out Zed, but I also want Dignitas to do well, which is the roster that
You're torn. So let's talk about Dignitas Academy now.
I know how you feel whenever you see CLG go up against another one of your
The caster bias clearly showing in this segment. But Rafa, tell me why you're so biased for Dignitas Academy.
This is the ultimate like power of friendship team that we have in Academy. These guys bond so well outside of the game, and they're just so funny and so fun to hang out with overall, and they have such a good time with each other. And I think a lot of it is thanks to really the Dignitas coach and staff, and it's just all the social media that they have put around this team, because before I don't think Dignitas were ever that strong in terms of social media presence, but this year across the board, not just in Academy but also in LCS as well, they have really ramped it up and put a huge spotlight on their players, and it's done wonders for all of their brands individually.
Exactly. The Twitter content has been fantastic. We still got to recreate some of those poses. I think we did it like week 1, but we've yet to
Kind of left it behind with that.
Right. Yeah. But, I mean, hey, once we're all in person, we can recreate some of them, right? But now we want to talk about the specific matchup that we think is actually going to be most impactful. But before that, there's a certain curse that Dignitas seems to have, Rafa. I can't quite put my finger on it. What was the curse? The Dignitas curse again?
Okay, so disregarding yesterday's result against CLG, Dignitas usually win the first game and then somehow lose the second game. And so they have I think the highest amount of draws, or one of the highest draws over any other team in Academy, just because of this.
There are
pattern.
2 teams that are ahead of them. That's Golden Guardians and Evil Geniuses that actually have 8 series that were split. But yeah, Dignitas was 7
Ooh.
series split. They're right up there. So the
Yeah.
meme is real. And the specific thing is that the team memes it because it's always win game 1 and then always lose game 2. And we never get to interview any of the freaking players in Dignitas Academy. So it's always...
Yeah.
Such a
I
shame.
know,
They have like
right?
a 60% win rate in game 1, and then it drops super heavily for game 2. And it does mean that we haven't had a chance to talk to a lot of them over the course of the season. So we'll see how true that plays. But Kangas, I want to back up a little bit because I want the team with Philip to win.
Oh. You're just admitting it. You're just
That's
straight
what
up
I'm saying,
coming
man.
out and
I've been
saying
saying.
we've been toying and dancing around it, but I guess now we're just diving
Look.
into it. All right, well, let's talk about Philip then, Joshi.
Yeah,
because
Philip's
his
been one of these
matchup-
players that a long time ago, you, me, and Cubby did a bit of a bit where we were looking to draft potential future LCS teams. And as my speculative pick, I went with Philip as one of the players who was at that time basically just a substitute, only coming in to fill out a couple more games. And he looked really darn good at the time. And since then, he's been one of these players that has always had a pretty decent time like playing in his lane. And when he's been resurging on things like the Gwen and the Aatrox, it's been so much more impressive seeing how he's able to take control of some of these games after getting some early game leads.
He's been having probably the best split that we've ever seen from Philip, and that's not saying
Yeah.
much because we haven't seen too much of him so
He's
far.
also adorable.
Well, now the bias is just truly coming out. All right, but Rob, I'm going to
just
give you
saying.
Eclipse then, because this is his lane matchup opponent, and Eclipse is somebody that I'm just
Why are they
gonna
all
say-
Gwen clips?
I don't know if it's true. They are all Gwen clips. I'm not sure if we've given Eclipse enough credit so far on broadcast this year because he has had some massive performances. The Riven especially, one of those ones that came out and surprised us.
Yeah, I didn't even know Eclipse was a Riven player. I thought Eclipse was like an Aatrox player, and so when I flew out to LA last week to fill some content with Dignitas, I was asking Eclipse like, what prompted the Riven pick? And he
Season
told
7
me
trick.
like, so yeah. No, he's not actually a Riven.
Well,
one
season
trick.
7.
He
Back
just-
in season 7, he used to be.
back in season
in the day.
Right. And this was a pick that he was just thinking about, like, hey man, after kind of recovering from the game 1 loss from Team Liquid, he just thought about he kind of meditated. He was listening to some music, and when it came to his turn to pick in the draft, he's like, "Coach, give me Riven. I can win this." And the laning phase was a bit all over the place from the solo kill, but Eclipse has just been kind of an unexpected force that has popped off more than what we were really looking for. In
Well, I'm happy
Dignitas.
that we didn't do Tic Tac trivia for Dignitas because that was my trivia for Philip. Is that, or rather, for Eclipse was that he was a season 7 Riven one trick by his own words. He did admit that to me in DMs as well. But speaking of Philip, we actually did have a chance to chat with him earlier on in the season and kind of get his thoughts on his development and how the team's been coming together. So let's take a look.
What for you, Philip? What is your personal goal this year? What is your end all be all by the end of the
I think for Academy, there was like a wave of rookie top laners that came in, like Concept, Surdy. I want to just be better than them.
What was going right for the squad?
We have nothing to lose kind of mindset. I played a lot of Aatrox back in my day, so I'm really comfortable on it.
Nothing to lose. That's those are scary words when you're playing against a player like that. And notice he didn't mention Eclipse when he was talking about other rookie top laners that he has
True.
to match up against. So
Ooh,
maybe not
think
even
about it.
on
Not
his
even
radar.
worthy of recognition.
Not even worthy of recognition. But you know what is worthy of recognition? Game 1, because we are getting ready for it. Pick and ban is ready to go underway. So Rafa, Joshi, I'm gonna pass it back to you to get us started.
All right. Well, I hope you're ready for the most biased cast of the entire season, Mark. Because we all know you're a Dignitas fan. We all know how much I enjoy watching FlyQuest and how much I want these guys to have some success. So if you're in Twitch chat and you start throwing out the biases, yeah, we're here. We're saying it's true. I want this team to win. I want Philip to succeed. Did you not see that interview? He just wants to be good.
Well, I think it's a good thing then that we have at least one caster per team, right? That way, the bias is somewhat split up fairly, and it's even across the board. I will say though, if UG locks in Zed, I will hop on momentarily to the FlyQuest train.
Sorry, XU.
I hope Lawrence understands. Now, if Lawrence answers back and picks something just as spicy, I'm willing to go back. And then I'm just even more elated to see a banger cast or a banger game between both of these junglers. But I know a lot of the focus has been towards the top lane because not only has Philip been playing remarkably, considering his history in competitive has not been anything outstanding or remarkable, he is now putting himself as one of the players in FlyQuest that they can reliably look to.
Yeah, and it's been interesting to watch, right? In a series or a season where there haven't been a ton of super dominant top laners, we've mostly just been looking at Dokla and then Darshan. It's kind of like our real standouts. Philip is one of the players who's actually doing rather well, and he said, you know, another part of the interview that we didn't quite get to was that he looks up to these players as like these veterans, as people that he wants to kind of emulate, and hopefully will be regarded as, you know, one of the better ones by the time we actually get towards the end of the season. I still think he's got a ways to go in order to get up to that part of, you know, the echelon of the top laners, but the fact that we are seeing this constant growth from such a young player is very impressive to me, and I hope that we give both Philip and Eclipse the tools to actually succeed.
And an overall shift from Dignitas, kind of marking opposably against FlyQuest, is that UG still kind of sticking towards a lot of the early game agency, even though we have seen a lot more Kiana playstyle and a lot more control in the early game so that UG can spend time getting resources. But upon seeing the Hecarim, FlyQuest want to jump on the small window that you have where you can find massive plays and find huge advantages against someone like Hecarim.
Yeah, and overall, again, most of these drafts are fairly standard. The Hecarim, something that XG's been playing a little bit more ever since branching out of the Lee Sin, and of course, Yuji has, I think he's played more Zinjo and Jarvan games than any other character so far in this tournament. But I also want to give a little bit of shout out to Yuji. As if you don't know this already, he is basically the only professional player to have ever come out of Mongolia. He was playing League of Legends on like 200 ping on North America and then like 150 ping on EU West for a long time before he became a player at the collegiate level. And now that he's brought up to Academy, he's basically, you know, he's the kind of player who's going to have an entire country behind him as kind of their sole representative at this level of play.
It's pretty awesome to have a competitive player of UG's caliber representing your homeland. The thing I was kind of snarking at was the Malphite ban from the side of Dignitas. That says to me that Eclipse wants to pick something that is more in the heavy AD department and that they might be lacking on magic damage, and that is something that they don't want FlyQuest to capitalize on.
Well, we'll see what Darkwings wants to play, right? Because typically Darkwings is going to be the one who is going to be bringing your magic damage threats at this day of age. The Malphite is a little bit surprising to me, right? Because there's a bunch of champions that Malphite is historically good into, but I feel like the answer is Jace. I think that's what Eclipse wants to play, right? That's the one that is so bad that it is basically unplayable, and the only person who's really overcome that so far has been Dokla, where he was able to solo kills Vipers.
Yeah, FlyQuest thinking that it might have been the Tryndamere that Eclipse was looking for, but I'm definitely in your wheelhouse, Josh, where I think it's the Jace. Now, they can still technically wait until the last pick and look to blind something for Darkwings, but considering how well Darkwings played in yesterday's series against CLG, the game-saving play in the 1v4 base with the Cassiopeia against CLG, and then, of course, the Victor just going back to just standard roots and pumping out reliable damage and controlling the battlefield. Dignitas putting a lot of faith now into Isaac to be the one that has the counterpick choice.
Okay, and now we got to see what the answer is to Jace. Now, Jace is a character that can be attacked really heavily. The thing about Jace is that when he's able to control when fights are happening, this character is insane. But if you're the kind of player, the kind of character who is going to be controlling the fight anyway and getting on top of Jace, he's really going to struggle to leave a lot of the time. And that's why I think this Camille pick is really interesting, because while it does create a lot of pressure onto the Jace, it starts off pretty miserable. Jace controls a lot of the first parts of the lane, but once you start getting some levels in, once Philip has enough items to actually threaten to kill Jace, it turns on its head really drastically. But I don't think we've seen a whole lot of Philip's Camille, so I'm going to be curious to see how much he's actually able to pressure Eclipse later in the game.
A lot of Philip's best picks have been like the Renekton, the Wukong, and even the Aatrox, as he said before in the interview. He was an Aatrox one trick before. And you know, I had thoughts about Darkwings just going back to something safe and standard like a Corki. And unfortunately, I was slightly debated because I saw the LeBlanc and I was like, oh yes, please, Isaac, lock that in. But it goes to the Azir, and it's not that the Azir isn't as exciting. It's, you know, it's still a control mage. You will have power in the late game team fights, and you have some playmaking potential with the Shurima Shuffle, but the LeBlanc would have been the spice that just really cemented this.
That would have been very exciting coming out from Darkwings, but I take back what I said. Philip has been playing a lot more Camille recently, and I kind of forgot that he played it up against Team Liquid twice into Bradley's Gangplank. Fortunately, lost both of them, but we are in a position now where he's got the dive buddy. He's got Yuji on the Jarvan. They're going to be looking to be very aggressive in this game, and both teams have good ways to get these team fights started. They're both looking to be very aggressive, and it's going to be a game about who controls when fights are actually happening. We saw issues with that in CLG's gameplay in our previous series, in our last game, but now as we walk into the first game of FlyQuest versus Dignitas, both teams are ready to throw hands.
And this is one of the few times where our pre-show focus will also line up with
Let's
what our
go!
drafting in-game focus will be. Had the LeBlanc been locked in for Darkwings, I would have been like, you know what? I want to see if Darkwings can pop off, because he is taking something like the Azir that will scale just as good as the Victor alongside him towards the mid and late game. It's all about the top lane. Last time we saw Eclipse lock in the Jace against CLG, XU paid a lot of attention to ensure that Eclipse had the snowball, had the advantage. And against someone like Philip, he has a lot of safety in being able to get out with things like the hook shot, but if you get a good timer where he uses it, there's no flash.
Yeah.
It's only teleport ignite.
So we'll see how well Philip is going to be able to navigate XU in this game. But again, I want the team with Philip to win. I just want this little boy to... Okay, that sounded weird. I want this young man... I want this young man to have a lot of success throughout the coming years. And it's definitely a situation where I think he's currently set up to potentially have a lot of success. A lot of 2v2 power is going to be coming through. Man... I've done some really cringe stuff today, but that was not one that was intended.
That was a slip up, but you know what, Josh? It's okay. I've made some slip ups over this Academy split
It's okay,
as well.
it's okay.
And this is Academy. We're having a good time. We're having fun.
We're learning too.
That's a laugh. Oh, it's okay, Josh. I love you, buddy. You're awesome. And I know you had good intentions. Dignitas, though, will be taking to the Rift alongside FlyQuest. And as we said before, top lane was our pre-focus. It's also our in-game focus. And Yuji recognizing that, hey, I want to make sure that
he's already set up a 10
to a great start. He has set up. He pitched up the flag, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a ward, but he's just making sure. Oh yeah, no, he actually does put down the ward, and because as the jungler, he's going to recall for a sweeper anyway, making great use of vision.
That's an interesting ward spot from XU. I don't know if I've ever seen that ward placed before, so we'll see how effective it actually is at locating where people are, because it's the kind of ward where it's not likely to get swept if somebody were to start with a trinket and walk into lane, but it is a situation where FlyQuest, all their trinkets are not going to be available before they actually walk towards the start of the game. So as we look at this game, FlyQuest, Dignitas, both of these teams are currently on the half of the standings, right? Dignitas is, at the beginning of the day, we're tied for 6, but they are on the bottom half of that, especially after 100 Thieves picked up their win. So they need to find a couple more victories in order to stay part of the blob, whereas FlyQuest started the day 3 games behind Dignitas and doing a little bit better than TSM, but still in a position where they want to control their own destiny, and they need to do it by winning.
Spawn and JJ finally arrive to the bottom lane. Tomo and Diamond having first a little bit of pressure here, just making sure that XU got off to a nice start with the expedited clear. He's pathing towards the top side of the map, whereas Yuji, he is clearing out the top side of the jungle, but it would be really awesome to see Yuji kind of shake up the clear and then go for a gank on the top side of the map before XU gets there.
That would be great if Yuji was able to just go for things topside, but the way that he's already clearing towards the bottom means that it's kind of difficult for him to turn around. Like, that's the kind of thing that Rosethorn will do, where he will mess up the way that his camps are going to be spawning in order to try and find these creative gank paths. But Yuji hasn't really been doing a whole lot of the same over the past couple of weeks, and now, as he's on the bottom side of the map, instead potentially looking for an opportunity to full clear into a bottom lane gank, FlyQuest would have a difficult time like building up a wave for a dive, but it is an opportunity where if you bounce this correctly, Spawn and JJ are going to be coming back towards FlyQuest side of the map.
XU already making his way through. A ping from UG trying to mark where XU could possibly be. Someone right on the money. And XU will be finishing up the Krugs. And it's a bit of a difficult spot to really gank Philip, and it's not necessarily the best setup to dive with Jace and Hecarim, but you will maintain pressure for at least XU to have control of the river correct.
Yeah, and the big thing is going to be watching how well Philip is actually going to be able to CS, but I think the wave is kind of hovering pretty even in the middle at this point, so it's not going to be the easiest thing, as we already said, to go for one of these dives. And UG and XU just going to be full clearing on the opposite sides of the map. The only difference might be the fact that XU clears faster, so he has an opportunity to potentially hunt for Spyrax.
Dude, if they dive this mid lane, that would be so badass. Unfortunately, it's a little difficult to do against the Victor, who still has Flash and Gravity Field. UG will find his River Crab first, or the second, and XU is going to be the one that gets a chance to respawn back on the map with his items. And at this point, Josh, I don't know if we're going to be seeing any change of plans from either the junglers so far, because they can just go back to full clearing, but I imagine this plays out more to the favor of Dignitas.
I have to imagine, right? You want to keep this Jace in a position of power, and if FlyQuest know that UG is going to be on the plane towards the bottom half of the map, it makes it a lot more difficult. And that kind of goes to the other people that we haven't mentioned a whole lot, is the fact that, ooh, I like the fact that XU not hitting the Scryer's Bloom, but it means that he will get spotted by a ward.
Can they get there fast in time? Diamond immediately forced to flash, but XU still has enough movement speed. Nice play from Diamond. Prevents the devastating charge to actually connect, but they still have enough damage as Spawn flash forward for the kill.
Pony too fast, man. Who cares about your puny wards? I'm going to go past them. UG now coming up towards the top lane. There's an opportunity for a dive, but Eclipse is already sniffing it out, knows that there's an opportunity, and UG doesn't land the flag and drag. So it does mean that there is going to be a plate or two going over, and Eclipse will lose a lot of experience off this wave, but it's not going to be a whole lot more coming out from FlyQuest. We take a look at a replay on the bottom half, and again, the ward is just not there. And if you have vision control on the Tahm Kench, again, we talk about this over and over, it is so hard to dodge out from his W. You have to go for a flash. With no flash left, Diamond, just easy pickings for the horse.
The rest of Dignitas now have a decent flash timer, at least on Diamond. Tomo still has his flash, so it would be a lot more difficult to lock him down. Being able to catch the support out once again if Dignitas want to continue snowballing this bottom side of the map. Remember here that we have already noted that Eclipse, it would be nice for Dignitas to put some attention towards the top side of the map so that you can get the snowball going for Jace.
Oh,
but
Diamond.
Oh no. I know what they wanted to do, and they wanted to prevent Spawn from recalling, but this is a Thresh that has no flash, and the Pony Express is here once again, and the threat of even charging into Tomo forces him to flash away while they secure the kill on the Diamond.
That sucks. That's pretty brutal, right? You're trying to get the wave to push towards you so that you have a freeze by getting them all to hit the same minion at the same time, but he creep blocks himself, and with no flash, there's no way out of his own wave. Easy play for Spawn to pick him up, and brutal position now for Tomo and Diamond, who are supposed to be the veterans here for FlyQuest. They're the ones with the longest experience in competitive, and unfortunately, right now, Diamond, who has been a linchpin of a lot of the plays that FlyQuest has gone for, is 0-2. And when your shot caller and your supposed leader starts falling behind, it is so hard to remain active on the map.
Emotional momentum can also be felt towards the rest of the rookie and the younger players on the team too, right? If your most experienced player is not doing well, sometimes that can reflect and kind of trickle down towards the rest of the squad. Whereas now Dignitas, JJ, the most experienced on this player, the most experienced player on this roster, aka Mama Bear for all the Dignitas fans in the chat, has the opportunity to take this pressure that he has gained through their successful ganks and influence the rest of them.
Yeah. Ooh, XU looking for Spyrax.
Onslaught of Shadows forces Spyrax to flash. Diamond with
nice
the play
hook
forward, pulls XU right back on in, and a nice rebound for the leader of FlyQuest.
There you go. Philip is also here. It does have access to the hook shot, but without a whole lot of buttons, I don't think FlyQuest want to do a whole lot more. Instead, going to be going right back on up, and it feels like Eclipse likely to lose a lot more experience once again, as he's leaving while a huge wave is potentially going to be crashing, and UG potentially in a spot to cut him off.
gonna get closer to it. He's gonna miss out on so much
Nah,
gold
I mean,
here,
he gets
and it's
here.
a
He gets here.
huge wave crash.
Yeah. I mean, he might miss like a minion, right? But that's going to be okay. He still gets the experience. But Philip doesn't realize how much danger he could be in because XU just chilling over here doing the Krogs, looking for an opportunity to find an advantage on the top half now that he's already got the bottom half.
XU will have to be careful how he approaches it, though, because no more Onslaught of Shadows has to rely on Ghost to get enough distance to run Philip back into Eclipse. And XU is not going to take that chance, even though they have good ward coverage to make sure that their entrance and gank approach is undetected. Philip is still a little slippery to take down.
Yeah. So I'd really be relying on Philip going forward to actually try and punish something in Dark Wings. Make sure he gets a ward down on the Rip Trail and saying, hey, we haven't seen Yuji in a hot minute. I wonder where he could be. Good Thundering Blow coming out from Eclipse, making sure no damage is there. That's something you can actually buffer as Jace for all of you Jace players. If you throw it out on a target before they get to you, you will just do it as soon as they come there. So good job from Eclipse denying any potential follow-up from Philip, and otherwise just a good play overall from the top lane of Dignitas.
Ow.
Wham. Who are we saying? Oh, right. Magical was supposed to do the Waluigi cosplay. I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter oh. Yeah, this is fine. The Wario memes that Austin was doing for Mazel when he was just like sitting there and being very French. But it was something where Waluigi is definitely something that I think Magical could pull off. And so maybe we can get a cosplay from that relatively soon.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that as FlyQuest starts looking for an opportunity to do this Rift Herald. It is on Vision, so I think it will be a trade for the Dragon and potentially Tomo's life.
XU speeding on over towards the Dragon. But as you said before, Tomo's left all alone, but he's beelined the hell out of there.
Goodbye.
He is not taking any chances, still down without a flash. Heal would not be enough to save him. And Dignitas haven't necessarily taken an objective trade quite yet. They are looking for farm and ensuring a bunch of plates for spawn. Solo. JJ is already recalled, so XU can't really threaten a dive anymore. He's inching forward, but as soon as he sees Diamond, he knows that this is time for him to leave.
Time to go. I mean, JJ already left, so there's not a whole lot of opportunities for plays just between XU and Spawn. No Gale Force is available yet, so going to be backing away. But again, rather quiet across the map. It feels like both teams are rather content to just kind of scale and go for ganks of opportunity. If you see something where you're like, yeah, this seems like a good spot, you seem overextended, I'm going to go for that. That's basically been the only thing that feels like either team have really gone for. But Yuji, this is the second time he's going to be starting up an objective while Dignitas do not have their jungler in the right place. And so that's going to be another objective going over to FlyQuest. So good job to Yuji. This isn't what we normally think of him as. He tends to be more aggressive and kill-oriented than objective-oriented.
And playing for, you know, self-resources, right? And trying to funnel himself as a carry. But I think all the time of being able to split between picking champions like the Kiana or even on the Xin Zhao being more farm intensive and resource oriented. Yuji is taking a more of a team approach. And I think that's just credits the overall development and improvement from Yuji going from a solo queue environment where he was one of the top players on the ladder from a place where he was getting a ton of ping and lag issues and still maintaining to be one of the best on the ladder to now in an environment where it doesn't matter how good your hands are, you have to be coordinated with your team. It's all about the team success, not necessarily the individual success.
For sure, and we've been seeing a lot of development from this player over the past year, and I expect we will continue seeing some growth from him, but this calmer style is something that I'm a little bit surprised about, right? I was praising him earlier in the season for his patience and willingness to wait for plays to manifest themselves, but this is something that we haven't typically seen, and FlyQuest, they now need to be very careful because there is an impending dive coming here bottom lane.
XU has everything. Ghost and Onslaught of Shadows. Diamond tries to save Tomo. A flash away keeps himself safe. Can't say the same about Diamond as he gave his life to protect his AD
And
carry.
look at that, pings immediately towards the top side of the map. They want to try and get something back, and Yuji going to be helping to clear out the wave a little bit, but Eclipse is already on a back cycle. No threat going to be coming in there. And that does mean that FlyQuest will be able to get a lot of plates down here, and I think they might be trying to actually race. By throwing this down, though, there's going to be a lot. Yeah, okay, yeah, they're good. FlyQuest have figured it out. They are going to be getting the entire turret before Dignitas do, so at least the game remains pretty even between these two squads.
First brick gold going over to FlyQuest helps them keep even with Dignitas. Damn, what are these These Super Mega Death Rockets are absolutely rude.
I mean-
They're just stopping Dignitas bot laners from getting in their
Yeah,
resets.
I mean, as long as you're stopping it back with it, and it's still a situation where you can crash a wave because of it, most teams have been deciding that it's worth, right? Because the ultimate for Jinx is on such a low cooldown. Tomo definitely a part of this school of thought because he's going to be getting at least 1 or 2 plates off of it because spawn is delayed to reset. Money.
I do like
You
money.
trade.
And especially when you are someone like Tomo who is in the situation of being on the weak side for most of the game. You'll take any opportunity to get some plate golds back, and this allows him to only be, in a small deficit, 600 gold behind spawn, whereas the rest of FlyQuest members doing just fine in a lot of their lane matchups here. And FlyQuest moving a bunch of their members throughout the bottom side of the jungle. They are planning a dive against Darkwings in the mid lane. That would be pretty sick.
Hype.
Here we go, and
Oh.
Darkwing. Oh, but he catapults Philip right forward. Can he get out? But it's the Ignite from Philip that takes him down.
Wasn't the cleanest thing, but the result is still the same. Philip is going to be getting the kill. He's got the Trinity Force completed, and this guy is online looking for an opportunity to start to carry the game. I wasn't expecting that to be the first place that got their kill.
Oh,
Yay, yay.
almost. That would have been a really cool play from JJ and Spawn, trying to sync up the purple gun route into the Abyssal Dive from JJ, but a well-timed Dark Passage from Diamond keeps Tomo safe, as they are now looking to answer back for a lot of the pressure that they were facing earlier on in the game.
Yeah. Look how fast Philip is when he's got the Trinity Force completed. Just zooming around every time he presses Q. Every time he last hits a minion, getting like 70 movement speed all at once. So the game, again, very, very even. As we get to the 14-minute mark, it is worth keeping track of how these guys normally do. Philip and Eclipse both are averaging about a -3 CS at the 14-minute mark, but right now, Philip about +6, +7 when we actually crested the time. And so Tomo, we've seen this before.
And look at that, they intercept on the final flight of the Dark Passage. Not even Diamond could keep Tomo alive there. The AD carry goes down.
I feel like we've seen this a couple too many times. So now FlyQuest trying to find Eclipse. Philip's low though.
He has Flash, and Eclipse is trying to decide, can I actually get out of this one alive and look for a trade? Or do I need to flash away? He flashes away from the hookshot stun. Yuji doesn't have Cataclysm quite yet, so it's going to take a while to take him down. Eclipse, does he have enough damage to be able to answer back? He has an Eclipse. For the name of Eclipse, the Conqueror, doing a lot of work keeping him sustained alive. It does take a while, and it only ends up being a solo kill for Yuji, since Philip was out of the remaining fight.
Dude, as a Jace player, that feeling when you're like, oh, I am getting hit to death by my opponent and I cannot do anything because my champion has no mobility. Feels pretty bad. So Eclipse ends up going down there, but that is kind of the pain of playing Jace. And now as we flip our attention to the opposite side of the map, there's still ultimates coming out for both Philip and Yuji, and there is a dragon to be fighting for, but just as we said we were expecting a trade earlier where Yuji was hitting the Rift Realm and I was expecting Dignitas to do the first dragon, it looks like Dignitas are going to be turning it around and maybe taking both.
It's going to be difficult, though. FlyQuest. Never mind, I take that back. I thought Philip had more friends with him, but he was the only person on this side of the map. They are taking the dragon instead, and so FlyQuest are going to put themselves 2 away from the soul point.
There you go. We'll see what dragon it is. Cloud, that's my guess. No, it's Hextech. All right, Hollywood. I think.
Ooh, Portal Gaming.
Portal Gaming.
I do like portals.
There we go, coming through. But it is going to be a trade of turrets as well. Bottom lane for top lane, going through between the two teams, and it's still very, very even. And again, we've been getting a lot of controlled gameplay all day today, Mark. It feels very different. I think teams are like becoming more risk averse as they realize that the postseason for the spring starts to matter a lot more, and they don't want to be making the same kind of risks they were doing previously in the season.
Yo, leave Eclipse alone.
Get him! Get him!
He's just trying to live a life. Oh my god, the Cataclysm, the Hextech Ultimatum. There's nowhere for Eclipse to run. And I will say, Josh, there is a lot of love being paid towards Philip right now. They recognize him being one of the most potent split-pushing threats that can be enabled in this game. But Dignitas answer back by funneling a lot of gold into Spawn.
Oh yeah, it's the arms race, right? Tomo is super far behind because Spawn has been put ahead, but Philip is also super ahead of where Eclipse is. And as we get another turret trade coming through, at least FlyQuest are going to be the ones with the +1 on the backside, but another blue ribbon for Philip this time around as he gets his second kill of the game. And the interesting thing, that play that we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to is Philip and Yuji versus Spawn and JJ, right? Philip and Yuji now have the tools necessary to try and take down Spawn, but it's going to be so difficult to kill him through a Tahm Kench. And we're going to have to pay attention to see how FlyQuest are going to be able to interrupt this. If you crowd control JJ, you can kill him first before turning on to Spawn, but that gives this very fed Felix a lot of time to hit you back.
You got to choose between which target you're taking out first, right? And if you cannot immediately take out one, the other will be able to at least respond. Meanwhile, Darkwings might be in some trouble here. Portal Gaming has been enacted. Yuji flying over the wall with the flag and drag, and Darkwings should be biting the dust here. Not even the Emperor's Divide will keep him alive. Spyrex with the Chaos Storm takes him out. Philip on the run here. JJ looking for the lick. Can he find it? Devour is now going to spit Philip right into the waiting arms, and it's Eclipse that picks up the shutdown.
All right, Eclipse getting a lot of money back, but it's getting traded on the map. Once again, back and forth these two teams go, playing to different places. FlyQuest pick up the mid lane turret, but another 2 kills worth of gold going to get picked up by Eclipse if he's able to take down this bottom lane turret. But Spyrex also trading it again all across the map. Everybody's just playing for their own opportunities to get these leads. Unfortunately for FlyQuest, Jace's a little bit faster at taking care of these than Victor is.
Tier 2 turret.
Bang,
gone.
bang, bang.
Thanks to Dignitas. 600 gold in the bank. That should help stem some of the bleeding that Eclipse has been suffering thanks to Yuji and Philip tag teaming it up in the top lane against him multiple times now. And for the most part, Dignitas, they've been able to answer back against what FlyQuest has had to offer as their primary response. But FlyQuest have not had a chance to shut down Spawn yet. Still sitting 3-0-1 with a 350 gold bounty. Ooh, barely gets out.
Yeah, not quite recognizing that he's there. Spyrex, I don't think, realized that he was on vision, but the result is the same. He gets home, but the blue buff is lost to XU. So now we're at the part of the game where Philip should be able to look for some solo kills, or at least a lot of pressure onto the Jace, because he has the Trinity Force completed. He's got level 12, meaning that his ultimate is on a fairly short cooldown, and he will just be doing a ton of damage every single time he jumps onto Eclipse. So watch how Philip chooses to be aggressive and whether or not they're going to be trying to create more space, because there's not enough turrets down here in the bottom side of the map to really go for. Instead, just trying to get these waves pushed out in preparation for the upcoming Hextech Dragon.
They have to push onto the bottom side of the map, not only for the Dragon preparation, but just so they can match and be on opposite sides of where the Baron would be. Just in case, if Philip needed to answer for a 5-on-5 and look for a flank to stop Dignitas from taking the Baron. But Dignitas are not going to take that flip. Going to play it out, wait for the next dragon to spawn in 40 seconds.
We'll see if one of your boys, the Darkwings, Isaac Cho, is going to have an opportunity to recreate some of his success from yesterday. So far, this game, relatively quiet, has mostly just been a prey item for the rest of FlyQuest, as Philip and Yuji. Yeah. You know, it's not the same kind of bullying that we saw up against Tomio yesterday, but Yuji all by him's lonesome.
Come on, man. Evil geniuses don't need to take some stray L's on the back end.
But they don't not need it either.
You're right.
So
Dignitas getting ready for this dragon. 5 seconds to go. They have complete control of the river. However, thanks to the river crab, gives them vision of the pit at least.
What are they doing?
And FlyQuest might just dip into the Baron side and say, you know what, Dignitas, can you race us to the punch here? But they've evaporated so fast. Philip wants to look for engage, but it completely misses it on spawn. And he has no way to be able to look for a way back. No flash available. Has to wait for hook shot cooldown to come back up. And a Chaos Storm forces Dignitas away, but no casualties.
Okay, and Philip's just gonna look how much damage Camille does to structures, man. They end up trading the mid lane turret for the dragon, which is about equal, right? The big thing is that FlyQuest not continuing the clock. They are not going to continue to create a situation where Dignitas always have to respond to them going for the dragon, because it got pushed back 5 minutes, right? And an extra 5 minutes is a long time in League of Legends. But FlyQuest, they don't know where Darkwings is, so I don't know if they have the confidence to go for this.
But they just might just lock down the horsey. XU would be forced to use Onslaught of Shadows if he was locked in Yuji's cage. But neither willing to burn the ultimate. It's just a little spook. And just maintaining control of the jungle.
Say boo. Well, it is going to be a situation where the fact that they go through and XU was using the red trinket means that he's going to stay alive. And that's something that I feel like XU has been really intelligent about this entire season, is just his ability to understand what his opponents do and don't know, and try and get as much information for himself as possible. Just walking around with the red trinket, making sure that he knows that there's a lot of FlyQuest members are in the top side, but you need to know exactly where they are if they want to try and do anything. And now he knows that his opponents have not been spending any wards on this bottom half of the map, so Philip, if he's backing up, it's just because he is unsure. He knows nothing.
Philip just maintaining pressure on the bottom side of the map. Both of the top laners still have teleport unleashed, mind you. But so far, FlyQuest haven't been able to snowball further the advantage that they got after catapulting Philip very far ahead of Eclipse. But he's caught back up. And as you noted before, Jace is no longer the type of champion where if you do not pop off in the early game, you're useless for the rest of the game. He is a bit of a scaling factor now, thanks to the way that Muramana now works.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have the Death Dance completed onto Philip, but that's kind of a bit more of a team fighting item than it is a really good split pushing item, because you want to get the multiple resets. But Spyrax, this is bold, sir.
Oh, God. XU wants the ping for it. He's like, dude, let's just collapse on him right now. Dignitas have the inside track. Spyrax, though, being able to out full tank Hecarim, and Tomo has routed off JJ because they caught him in transition towards the top side of the map, and a teleport from Philip prevents anyone else from Dignitas to collapse onto Spyrax, and now it's the Baron that is available.
Everybody going to be coming right on over. XU has no Onslaught of Shadows, no way to get over this wall. He's got to do it the old-fashioned way, just right through the front door, and we'll see how FlyQuest zone him off. Oh.
Not possible at all, and Philip will lock down XU. No way out. This Horsey will get turned into glue. Darkwings with the Shurima Shuffle, but who can follow up? Spawn has no front line to be able to walk safely forward. It's Philip that they pick up on the backside thanks to Eclipse routing him off, but FlyQuest still walk away with the majority.
A 2-for-2 and Baron coming through for FlyQuest off of them, just moving forward and taking down JJ. And they will also be back up in time for this upcoming Hextech Dragon, which we said was part of the major clock. Now, we'll take a look at a replay of this last engagement, and they just find JJ, right? JJ is with the rest of Dignitas, and was like, hey, let's go kill Spyrax. And it's like, oh, wait. There are his friends, and now there's not a whole lot for JJ to do. Saves the flash, and from there, it's relatively easy. We already talked about the fact that XU has no way to get in. He has to go through the front door, but the front door is closed and locked shut. The only thing that they're really able to do is a couple of small plays, dodging out on the crowd control from Philip, Darkwings trying to find a kill onto Diamond, and other than that, it's just a matter of FlyQuest being a little bit faster with their rotations and understanding the map state better.
Dignitas now find themselves on the bit of a back foot. For the most part, this game was even across the board. Both Dignitas and FlyQuest are matching response for response, blow for blow. But FlyQuest finding their first huge momentum swing. Now find themselves 4,000 gold ahead at 25 minutes, and another Dragon coming up in 45.
Yep. Oh, Dark Passage, always good there. If it was any other support, that would have been a dead Tomo, so... Well, maybe Tom Kench could have done it as well. But either way, Dignitas missing out on one opportunity. And now we are looking at both AD carries with 3 items completed. That means they are both doing a ton of damage. And Philip looking to get things started. Yuji just goes!
Yo, flash forward from Yuji. Locks him down. Eclipse goes night-night. And Philip will advance in the call for more damage. Darkwings answers back onto Yuji. And so far, it's a 1-for-1 trade. No jungler available any longer for FlyQuest. So it would be difficult to take the Dragon off the back end. But this is where FlyQuest look for another pick. Looking for Darkwings. Death Sentence goes wide, but Philip, does he have enough damage? Not quite. JJ does save him with the Devour, and he has the shield, pushes him away, but Darkwings might be now subject to a Death Laser from Spyrax.
Oh, and Philip is also now pushing the bottom lane. They don't need to do the Dragon right away. They just need to create pressure around it, and Philip going to be taking down this inhibitor turret likely all by himself. He might be dead at this point, but he should be able to get it if he wants it. Instead, choosing to play life.
Nice slow from JJ, and the Abyssal Dive gets him in range, but doesn't have to devour. It's a Gale Force forward from Spawn, and it's enough damage to take him down. The teleport
what is
from
this?
Eclipse, making sure that they can pincer out from the collapse that FlyQuest are trying to get. Eclipse with a nice accelerated shock blast chunks out Diamond, the only frontline member. Spyrax flashing forward, looking for the Death Laser, but the Abyssal Dive will land a huge knock-up onto 2, and the 3 members fall in one fell swoop.
Dignitas just wiping FlyQuest off the back of that. I'm so sad, Mark. They were doing so well this entire time, but Dignitas preying on the mistakes coming through from the side of FlyQuest, and they know they can pull this out. They need to make sure that Yuji can't steal it, but Yuji's nowhere close. So great play coming out from Dignitas, punishing the weird rotation coming through from FlyQuest, right? This is definitely a situation where Philip is going to be dead basically no matter what. He's not really going to get out because of how telegraphed his location is going to be, and the rest of FlyQuest just rotate around behind trying to get there in time, but Philip is not that tanky. He goes down super quickly, and once the rest of Dignitas is ready to join on the fight, there's no way for FlyQuest to go but forward. They have to try and find their way out, but we've talked about it a couple times, if you have vision control, it's so hard to dodge away from Tom Kenshin. They find a full wipe of all of FlyQuest.
And just like that, Josh, Dignitas find themselves almost even with FlyQuest. It's okay, Josh.
I want the team with Philip to win.
This is really adorable.
I know.
And it's gonna be so funny when Dignitas all over you.
Oh, wow. All over me.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I got it. It's banter, guys. Meanwhile, Philip.
Oh, he's going mid lane. The switcheroo!
Oh, the switcheroo! Suddenly, he's no longer bot lane, he's mid lane. But is it enough time for FlyQuest to really pick up this inhibitor turret? Might be able to get some chip damage, but I think Dignitas should be able to respond. And look where XU is. He has a flank opportunity. If Dignitas can get set up in the right position, that's a huge chunk on the Tomo. Third of his HP already gone. They're rotating over to the Baron, and damn it, I was really excited for the XU flank, but the timing wasn't just right.
It's okay. Well, it is going to be a situation where the game is going to go back to a bit of an even state, right? With both teams with 2 dragons apiece. It is going to be a situation where we are not likely to see a soul this game. Instead, it becomes back to this pressure game. Yuji going!
Yo, and Spawn doesn't have flash from before. JJ doing everything he can to keep his AD carry alive, and he's still on the back end. He's still surviving the death laser, and the Chaos Storm takes him out. No more marksman for Dignitas. No more jungler, no more support. Even the top laner will fall. One more death laser from Spyrex will do him in, but just the pressure alone allows the rest of FlyQuest to rout out Darkwings, who is now in a 1v4 situation, but cannot survive it or turn around like last time. And FlyQuest with the numbers will push to end game 1.
What was that about Dignitas, Mark? It's FlyQuest coming out.
No,
Here we go. Let's go, Philip. Get him, get him.
No.
There we go, though. FlyQuest taking down game 1. Oh, he's in there. He's in there. What's he going to do about it, huh? No, Philip. Yes!
Congratulations, FlyQuest, for taking game 1 against Dignitas. Listen, I'm being genuine about it, too. You don't need to rub it in my face for it. Come on,
man. It's banter. It's okay.
FlyQuest wouldn't do that. They're wholesome. They would have been like, great game, guys. Good job, you know?
I'm not FlyQuest. I'm just a FlyQuest fan. It's okay at the end of the day. So we end up seeing it was a very wild game. Probably our most wild game that we've had so far today. It's been very controlled over and over again, but some unusual map rotations end up resulting in some wild team fights where people are getting picked off one side and another. And that's something that we're going to continue to see in our next series, right? Both these teams looking to find their wins. They want to make sure they can get up to that 6th place spot, but we have a lot more games to play, and I feel like that game could have very easily shaken out in either direction.
I think some clutch playmaking from both Yuji and Philip is what helped clinch the game in FlyQuest's favor towards the end. Yuji, with a couple of just no hesitation, instant reaction, flash cataclysm plays, immediately locking down targets like Darkwings or Spawn. Once they have no flash, and it's hard for them to get out of there alive, and even though JJ doing his damnedest to keep them alive, it cannot be enough to survive through all the bursts, all the damage that FlyQuest backline have at that point in the game. So for them, Dignitas do have to go back to the drawing board. This is one of the few times where they don't win game 1, but I am hopeful that maybe they'll turn it around for game 2. Because Dignitas, if they are able to sweep CLG Academy yesterday, then they can definitely take a game off of FlyQuest. But FlyQuest also want to keep their momentum as they are scaling throughout the rest of Academy split. So when we come back from this break, Kangas will be closing out with our last halftime show before we go into our final game of the day.